Hey, it's Ayla, and you are listening to Not That Kind of CEO. If you're reflecting on your business goals right now and all you feel is disappointment, guilt, or pressure to do better next year, this episode is for you. Today, I'm talking about how to reflect on your business goals in a way that actually helps you move forward instead of turning it into a report card that you fill yourself on. Because the problem usually is not that you didn't try hard enough, it's that you're reflecting without taking yourself, your season of life, and your capacity into account. I'm sharing a different lens for end of year business reflection, one that hopefully creates clarity instead of self criticism, and that helps you start a new year grounded and not burned out. I have even added 7 questions for you that you can ask yourself if you're like, oh, I'd like to reflect on my year and I'd like to reflect on my business goals. Um, so I just don't know where to start. Well, perfect. I have 7 questions for you that can do it for you if you answer them. So, if you like to reminisce about the last year a bit and create a good start for 2026, then I suggest you keep on listening. Hi, I'm Ayla, and I am not that kind of CEO. You won't find me in a fancy corner office, but rather in a quiet corner of my home. I followed a bold vision and built my life and business around it. That's how I ended up in France, where I'm raising 2 little girls, renovate our 500-year-old castle together with my husband, run a coaching business, and still have space to breathe. After a decade of helping women simplify their business to make room for what matters most, I created this show to help you do the same. Let's build your business around the life you love. Welcome to Not That Kind of CEO. Hello, my dear. Welcome back to Not That Kind of CEO. Can you believe that this is the last podcast of 2025? For some reason, I wanted to say 2020. Like, that's not correct. 2025 is coming to an end. And it's gone so fast. I know it's a cliche, but it's true. It's true nonetheless. Like, it's just, this year has flown by. It was insane. I recently saw something on the interwebs because I've been doom scrolling this last week, cooped up in my home with my kids and my husband. And it's, don't get me wrong, I've also done a lot of really nice things. We did a lot of cleaning outside and preparing for the alpacas we are getting in January. No, isn't that exciting? But it's still the introvert in me was like, I need some alone time. And then, of course, instead of relaxing, I fell down the rabbit hole that is Instagram. And I saw somewhere a reel of someone who's probably very wise that said, if you stop making new experiences, doing new things, time goes by so fast. And that's why, as adults, it feels like the time is flying by much faster than when you're kids. Because when you're a kid, you're constantly learning new things and constantly meeting new people and doing new stuff. And when you're an adult, you just get into the rut of life, and every day is the same. It's like Groundhog Day, but not really Groundhog Day. And that's why it feels like the time goes by so fast. So if you make sure to get new experiences, preferably on a daily basis, you'll make time slow down again. I was like, that's a really cool idea, and I'm gonna I'm gonna think about it and probably do nothing with it. No, I'm gonna think about it and maybe do something with it because it sounds very nice. And well, as most people in this time of year, I have been reminiscing, thinking about 2025 and how it all went, what I did, what I didn't do, well, I fell down the trap of self criticism quite a lot, where I was just, ugh, I wish I had done more of this and less of that. And I have results, but not results that I wanted. And blah, 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 blah. I was just thinking about it in a way that wasn't very helpful. And I realized I'm not the only one who does that. It's something that we all do because we like to reflect on our goals. But the problem is that we're reflecting on goals often in a wrong way because we forget to take the circumstances into account. So most women, they reflect on their goals as if they're getting a report card. And that's why reflection often ends up in self criticism, because reflecting only works if you look at how you worked and not at what you think you should have done. So it's not what did I accomplish this year, but where was I really working great with myself? Where did things feel like I was treading through the mud or empty? What costed me more structurally than it actually gave me back in gains? When you start looking at it from that perspective, it's 11:11. I've been seeing so many angel numbers lately, it's insane. That's a complete side note, of course, but still. Yeah, because when you start looking in a way that actually helps you to get peace with what you did and then prepares you for what you're going to do next, and not just make it like you are getting that report card and you're not happy with it. Can I tell you something real for a second? If you've signed up for yet another planner, a strategy, challenge, or a system lately, quietly hoping that this one will finally make things click, you're not doing anything wrong, but you are trying to solve the wrong problem. Most women think that they need a better strategy, a better plan, better time management. But that's like buying new running shoes and hoping that you'll suddenly win the marathon. But the shoes aren't the issue, it's the runner that needs upgrading. And it seems like no one ever tells us that. But if you're a mom building a business, you are already doing so much. You're thinking a lot, you're carrying a lot, and piling more external tools on top of that just creates more pressure, more guilt, and more, why can't I make this work? So here's what actually changes everything. When you understand yourself so deeply that you could throw any strategy at your life and make it work, because it finally fits you. It fits your energy, your patterns, your season, your reality as a mother, as a business owner. That is what my free challenge is about. It's called Where the Fuck Should I Even Start? Because that's very often the problem. Sitting down at your computer with so much drive and so much ambition, and then just going, I don't even know where I should start. Well, let me tell you, we're not starting by fixing you. We're not starting by giving you another system to keep up with, but we're helping you reset your brain, your vision, your focus, your direction from the inside out. And by the end of the challenge, 5 days, you'll have an actual 30-day plan that feels doable. Not because it's perfect, not because it has the perfect strategy, but because it's aligned with how you work. So if you're tired of fighting yourself and you're ready for clarity, for balance, for momentum that doesn't cost you your family or your sanity, I'd love to have you in. You can find everything about the WTF challenge through the link in the show notes. And just so you know, this is not about doing more. It's about finally working with yourself instead of against yourself. See you there. I am Dutch. I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but we are very direct people. So when we finish with a project, we will look back and say, okay, guys, what went wrong? What should we do differently next time? And it's then at school, I actually learned when you give feedback, you ask first instead of saying, okay, so here's what you did wrong. You first ask, how did you think it went? And even just saying that, people will go, oh, I'm getting feedback in a proper way now. And maybe that's because we were students and we had to learn this way of communicating. But of course, it's the right way. But still, maybe because this is the school system and we are used to getting report cards and we're used to getting project back with a red pen scribbled throughout and a number or a letter in the American way scribbled on the front, like, oh, you got a C, you got a 6. Okay, cool. And then of course that grade has been, it's not that your teacher sat there and was like, I'm feeling 6. Yes, let's do this. But no, they actually were like, okay, this was good. Then this was not so good. Then they're just giving you one end result. We look at an entire project and we're like, okay, I'm giving this a solid C, B minus. And you're not looking at what did work. Like, how did I work? How did I work together with a person? And if we were to adjust this the next time, what would happen? And there's so many more ways to look back on what we did than just say it went good or it went bad. But still, when we are reflecting, which most of us are doing in this time of year, then we're still doing that. We're still going, ugh, this went bad. I wanted to make $1 million this year and I only got 999,000. This went bad. I didn't achieve my goal. And that's just a shame. The problem is not that you're not reflecting, but the problem is how you're reflecting. And if you're just reflecting on your goals without taking yourself and your circumstances into account, it's just going to be self criticism and you focusing on the things that went badly. So I figured since we're on December 30th, let's give you a few questions that you can help to reflect on the last year if you're up for it. So it's not a list to tick off, it's just a lens through which you can look back on 2025. And it's not necessarily meant for you to close off your year, but rather to start your January with more clarity. So, you can continue on with your life and actually take those lessons with you. Here are a few questions I wrote down, 7 questions that you can ask yourself if you're up for reflecting a bit. Numero uno. I'm actually saying that really weirdly. I can say numero uno, but that feels weird. And number 1, where did I feel like most myself this year? Where did I feel most like myself this year? That should be the correct way to say that. And I'm not talking about a moment that looked very successful. Where did you feel most like yourself? The moment that felt the most natural, the most grounded, the most clean in your body. Was there a period of 2025 where you're like, oh, I was on fire there? This was amazing. And what was that period for you? Like, when did you feel on fire? When were you like, yeah, I rock? And then think back at what you were doing in that time and what the circumstances were, who you were working with, what you were listening to. Try to see if you can replicate these circumstances so you can create lots of periods where you feel on fire next year. Question number 2. Where did I consistently feel resistance, heaviness, or avoidance? And I'm asking you to not judge here. Just notice what kept asking more from me than it gave back. So, is there a period where you were, for example, where you were working really hard, putting in all the hours, and you were like, "Ugh, nothing is happening for me, nothing is working out, what the fuck is up here?" Or maybe a period where you were split into two, where like the one half of you were like, yeah, we're on fire, we're gonna do this. And then when you sat down at your desk, you actually started doing some coping mechanisms where you were like, oh, I cannot work if my desk is such a mess. I need to clean up first. Or I cannot create content without having a perfect planning first. I need to plan out everything first. Those are coping mechanisms that something is up and you're like, I'd rather be avoiding what I'm doing right now than actually working on it. So, were there periods in 2025 where you were doing that? Number 3, which goals gave me energy once I was inside them and which ones drained me before I even started? So, this is a cool one because this actually tells you more about whether you hit the goal or not. Because some goals up front, you're like, yeah, this is awesome. But then you start thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking some more, and they're draining you before you start. So you're overthinking what you're doing, and it's just keeping you stuck from getting real momentum in when you're actually going to execute the goal. But there are also some goals that are the other way, where upfront you're like, okay, I have to tick this off. Imagine if you're writing a book and you are writing chapter 1, you're like, yeah, okay, I need to write chapter one if I want to write this book. I just need to get this done. But then when you were doing it, you were like, yes, this is amazing. And it's giving you more energy and more power to keep going. There are definitely two types of goals here. So if you are not yet finished with that book, let's keep the book as an example, but you are getting so much joy out of it and so much fun in just the creation and the process and everything, then that says a whole lot more about whether you're achieving that goal or not than the one that looks really good on paper, but it's just sucking your soul out of you every time you open your Google Doc or something, you know? So think of the goals that you had and think of the ones that were really draining and think of the ones that you might not have expected to give you that much energy. And then see, how can I adjust my goals for 2026 if I'm looking at them from this lens? Question number 4. When did things move forward with less effort than I expected? This is building on question number 3, of course, because, well, it's actually building on all of them. Because when things take less effort than you expected, that means that there are some clues there. They show you how you actually work when you're not forcing things to happen because it just flows, it just glides forward. So, what were periods or goals or areas of your life where you got way much more done or achieved with less effort than you thought you would have to put in? And then look at it. What are you doing? What are you outsourcing? What boundaries did you set to make sure that you could keep spending time there? Is this also something that you can replicate for things that you're going to do next year? Number 5, where did I keep pushing out of obligation instead of desire or clarity? And this is the point where burnout starts, basically. Because if you are like me and you wrote a goal down and you're like, I really want to achieve this goal, but it's draining you. It's moving forward with way more effort than you actually expected. You're constantly feeling resistance and you're not feeling like yourself at all. But you wrote it down. You're like, I want to achieve this goal. So you're keeping pushing forward out of obligation instead of the desire that you once had that you actually wanted to achieve this goal. And if you keep doing that long enough, you're going to burn yourself out. It's just that simple because it's just not aligned. And that's something that's can be different because especially if you're in like your first few years of business, it can feel for the outside world, it can feel like you are just floating all over the place. I thought you just started this and then you said, "Oh, I don't want to do that anymore." So I pivoted. And people, the word husband comes to mind. Husbands in general can look at you and just go, "Oh, I thought you were working on this, and now you're working on that." Like, and instead of that, we'd like to show that we are committed. Like, I am showing you I'm committed to my goals, and I'm committed to making this business a success. But if the commitment to a certain goal that's not fitting you anymore is just burning you out and not making things fun anymore, then what overall goal are you trying to achieve? What value are you working towards? So if this is something that you've been doing, pushing out of obligation instead of desire or clarity, then, well, maybe reflect on that a bit. Like, what were you actually pushing towards and who were you trying to prove to that you should actually keep doing what you didn't want to do? Number 6, what did this year teach me about my capacity in this season of life? Not your potential, because your potential is limitless, but your real capacity as a woman with a business and with little children. That's a big difference. For me, in my head, well, as I said, limitless potential. I can rule the world, no problem. And in real life, I spend nearly one working day a week on doing the laundry. Like literally, I spend 6 hours a week on laundry. And that's not that's not fitting with my limitless potential because in my limitless potential I am outsourcing all that and just working and going and going. And if you're not aware of this gap between the two, then you're gonna be so disappointed with everything. because you were like, I thought I had all this time and I thought I worked so hard. And what's happening now? Like, why didn't I achieve my goals? I thought I worked hard. Yes, you did. But your capacity is actually quite low because you're doing all the things. You're carrying all the mental load and doing all the household things and then running your business and making sure that your team members work great and pooping out content 24/7 and also doing the marketing and the sales and the administration because you're a solopreneur, that diminishes your capacity a lot. So think about what this year taught you about your capacity in your current season of life. Like, did you actually spend the time that you wanted to spend on your business? Or were you like, no, I actually spend way less or I spend way more? Did you take that into account when you think about 2026? That's a good one as well. Maybe tone it down a bit. If you're like, I felt such a need to move forward and nothing actually worked out, well, then maybe next year plan a little less, drop an offer, drop that one client that's draining you. There's nothing wrong with actually adjusting your business to your season of life. And then last question, number 7. If I am honest, what am I done proving? And I think that this one is a really powerful question to close your reflection time with because it creates space instead of pressure. Very often in this time of year, we're like, oh, I'm planning 2026 and I need to do this and I need to do that and da 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 da. And if you're honest, what are you done proving and how does that affect the goals that you set for next year and the things that you want to do? And who are you proving it to is what I already asked you before. Like, that's interesting. If you're doing something out of wanting to prove something, maybe you shouldn't be doing it at all. And if you can drop it from that perspective, it actually does create space because you're like, oh, if I don't have to prove to my husband that I can do it all at the same time, maybe I can actually outsource some parts of the household, or I can say, you know what, I'm going to take on less clients next year because financially we're fine and I need more space because I am done proving that I can be a breadwinner and a mother and the ruler of the household and the one that holds the mental load. So think about that one. What am I done proving and who am I done proving it for? And see what opens up for you when you think about that. All right, 7 questions for you to reflect a bit on 2025. Mostly take into account like everything that was there to do in your life instead of just saying, oh, I achieved my goal, didn't achieve, give it a B minus, and now I'm done. So take this with you to the next year. In January 12th, to be precise, we're starting. I am running my WTF reset. I renamed it. First, it was called a challenge, and then I was like, it's not a challenge at all. It's a reset. And what we're doing in that week is, well, it's a reset. You already know what we're doing. We're resetting you. We're looking at your vision. We're looking at like the direction where you're going. What time do you have? How can you better use your time? How can you reset your brain, your focus, your values, and give you a whole fresh start? The reset is going to take 5 days, and I want to be done in like as little time as possible and every day. So you'll be getting an email with an exercise each day. Shouldn't take you more than like 30 minutes to do it. And at the end of the week, at the end of the 5 days, you'll actually have a 30-day action plan to move forward with that is completely attuned to you, your goals, the way you work, the way you think. And that's actually going to set you up for success and give you momentum. Because I think that just getting you off the starting block is so much more important than letting you set big goals for the year. Like, just start. Just fucking start doing something. Take 30 days, take the plan that you'll get in the reset, and then after 30 days, reflect on it. And, maybe use the questions again that you just heard. And then take the next step and take the next step. And before you know it, your 2026 is gonna actually move you forward in a way that you've been dreaming of moving forward for maybe a while now. So if you want to join, it's a free reset, by the way, and I'll publish the link in the show notes of this episode. And I hope to see you there because it's going to be awesome. The last time that we did it, we got so many cool results of women that were like, yes, I did not realize that I only needed to start to get going. And that was fun because during the week they were like, okay, these are cool exercises, but the real results actually came in like weeks after the that we did the challenge. And they were like, this is so fun. This is the first time that I've actually been able to stick to a plan and work towards it, because it fits exactly who I am, what I wanted, how I work, my season of life. So yeah, go join. I'll see you January 12th when we start. And for now, I'm wishing you a happy new year. I hope you will have a festive evening. Stay safe if you're in an area where there's lots of fireworks. I don't have much to stay safe from except my kids waking up in the middle of the night. And I'll see you in 2026. Oh gosh, I always love this. I always love this period of time where you just see someone you see on a nearly daily basis and you just go, see you next year. Because next year is in like 2 days. Okay. Fun insights into my mind. See you next year, honey. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to Not That Kind of CEO. If this episode gave you clarity, encouragement, or just even a moment to breathe, I'd love it if you left a review. It helps more women like you find this show, and that means the world to me. And if you're ready to build a business that fits your life, you know where to find me. See you in the next episode.